Today I fucked up by playing VR. So, I recently replaced my poorly functioning Oculus Rift CV1 with a Quest 2. Facebook-driven privacy issues aside, I've been desperate for a headset I can afford and that would actually work. For those who don't have experience with these devices, I will say that the CV1 is wired and dependent upon a capable gaming PC, while the Quest 2 is natively wireless with the option to hook up to the PC for added power. Let me tell you, it is very easy to get used to the inherent mobility restrictions of being tethered to a PC, and even easier to get carried away in your play area when you transition to wireless. But, the boundaries do not suddenly change. Last weekend I was getting really into Echo VR, which is essentially a team-based 3D ultimate frisbee game. You and your team fly around in a zero-G arena with the objective of throwing a disc into a goal past the opposing players. Highest score wins. Pretty straightforward. After a few drinks and perhaps a bit of that jazz cabbage, I'm pretty well immersed in this virtual escape. I'm having a good time shooting the shit with other players, getting a light workout jumping around my office playing virtual frisbee soccer. The game is nearing the end, the disc comes my way, I lunge for it and am startled out of my virtual revelry by an impact and the sound of crashing glass. Fuck, I knocked over my water glass and shattered it. Better jump out of this game and clean this up. My sleeping GF is going to roll her eyes in the morning if she didn't wake up from the clatter. I rip off my headset and am greeted by a murder scene instead of a minor flood. It turns out that the sound of crashing glass was not a fallen water vessel, rather, it was the sound of a fist crashing through a plate glass window. I lunged right through my established VR boundary and punched out a window in the French doors of my office, severely lacerating my hand. One trip to the emergency room later, in the middle of a pandemic that is causing bed shortages in my area, and I am now recovering during a break from VR and gaming altogether with 3 stitches on my pinky, 6 stitches on my middle finger, 9 stitches on the meaty part of my thumb, also nicked an artery and spurted blood all over myself, including my face mask, and I sliced off half of the nail and nail bit of my index finger. A total of 18 stitches. Now that's immersion. Needless to say, I am taking a break from VR, and I implore people to set up their boundaries with some built-in leeway. Don't draw your boundaries at the base of your obstacles. Give yourself some cushion for the inevitable fuck-up. Note, the ER staff were very amused and hadn't ever had a VR-related injury before, so they were happy to break from everything else going on. So, it was nice to make their night, I guess. Too long didn't read, I needed 18 stitches from playing a virtual game. Edit, didn't get a picture of the blood trails or lacerated hand, but here are a couple after the fact for illustration. Jazz cabbage took me a second. That's a new one to me. If I had glass in my door, I'd be able to commiserate. My CV1 is still going strong, but those black touch controllers have a lot of paint on them that used to be on woodwork. Thought I broke my fingers a couple times throwing stuff in Robo-Recall and Blade and Sorcery. It's easy to get carried away. Lucky for me, the worst that's happened has been damage to paint and one smashed model airplane that I punched while sabering beats. People who live in glass houses shouldn't virtual frisbee soccer. People recommend to have a small rug in the middle of your play area so you can feel where you're in your play space. Do you have something similar? If not, well, now you might want to consider it. Get well soon and back into VR, mate. I just got my VR headset just a week or 2 ago and the first thing I bought for it was a plush rug so that I know I need to get back on it when I step off. It has saved me many times so far. R/2 fits perfectly here. Hadn't heard of this before, I'll give it a cross post, thanks. Today I fucked up by stripping for my whole company. This actually did happen today, about a half hour ago. I'm a college student doing a remote part-time internship at a company with about 200 employees. Every week, we have a company-wide meeting over video call. Usually, these meetings don't require a lot of participation, so recently, I've started working out in my bedroom while watching the meeting with my camera off. Today, I was a couple minutes late to the meeting, so I hurriedly joined, then started changing into my workout clothes. Just as I was sliding my jeans off, I got kicked out of the meeting. For a couple seconds, I wondered what happened, and then it hit me. I forgot to turn my camera off. A quick test confirmed that my tighty whities had been in full view of the camera and the more than 100 participants in the meeting. After a few minutes of regretting every decision that led up to the incident, I mustered up the courage to rejoin, with my camera off. The meeting just ended, and I'm still not sure how many people saw me. Too long didn't read. I accidentally left my camera on in a meeting with over 100 people while I took off my clothes. Update: the head of HR, who was the one who removed me, messaged me to tell me that I'm not in danger of losing my job, so that's a relief. He's a pretty chill guy and seemed to think it was pretty funny. My friend is a lawyer and he was streaming live from his bedroom, makeshift office, to the courts. His daughter, 5, ran into the room screaming about how her older sister was going to kill her and court was suspended. All good, judge understood as he has had children before. Lol. Bailiff dispatched to lawyer's bedroom to restore order. I'm commenting here just for the follow-up. Well done op. My guess, purely from the follow-up, is they have started training HR just to watch screens and kick people out the second anything starts going anywhere towards inappropriate because people are at home and these mistakes are bound to happen. Good on the company and HR for remembering that people are human and make mistakes. Also for being able to tell the difference between a mistake and a deliberate attempt at being inappropriate. I see it happen way too often, that companies forget this concept and fire people for things that were simple mistakes because they're human. I started reading assuming the top was female. I actually wondered it's kinda odd for a female to wear tighty whites before it finally hit me. Maybe because men are generally not embarrassed about being seen in underwear. HR guy was stoked. Edit: thanks for the kind awards. Fixing the typo, HR guy was stroked. Holy shit, now that's a wrap, hope it turns out good for you. Today I fucked up by not listening to another Today I fucked up story about masturbating after a tonsillectomy. I got my tonsillectomy 11 days ago, and everything has been going perfectly well. My doctor was great. Sure, there's been a lot of pain, but it was finally getting better. Sitting around after a couple of days, I looked up if it was okay to, masturbate. The internet overwhelmingly seemed to say it was okay except for one Today I fucked up post from a year ago about a girl who had a tonsillectomy, and after 2 weeks, flicked the bean as she put it and ended up with a mouthful of blood and in the emergency room. I was skeptical, since no doctors anywhere mentioned it in my doctor's office or on any website, but initially was enough to scare me from doing it. A few days later, the urge was kinda too much for the small amount of doubt I had left, so I was careful not to raise my blood pressure and it was fine. Nothing happened and I had a sigh of relief. The next day, a few hours ago now, I decided to go again thinking it was fine. No blood, all in the clear. Well, until I woke up coughing with the taste of blood. Oh boy, was there a lot of blood. I rinsed with ice water, and there was no stopping it. Now I'm in the emergency room hoping they don't need to recauterize the back of my throat. Now I wait with the feeling of warm blood going down my throat. I'm pretty sure this is why adults have this complication so much when children do not. Why does no one talk about this? I guess because it's a shameful matter. TL Doctor, I read a post about masturbating after a tonsillectomy ending them with a mouthful of blood in the ER. Did listen, masturbated, now I'm in the ER. Update: thank you all for the love, support and humor. Smile first off. So, I lived. Hooray. I was in the ER for hours. The doctor said that it could have been a whole lot worse because 1, it was a slow ooze, not a gush, and 2, I am on the higher end of the hemoglobin spectrum. Being a transgender male on testosterone often increases this level, but also increase my libido in the first place. Haha. Basically, if my hemoglobin levels were normal to begin with, I would have likely needed a blood transfusion. I managed to wait until my ENT office opened and got the next appointment with my doctor, who is phenomenal. BTW. He basically flushed out the area, removed the giant clot. He thought he might have to recauterize, but tried shoving gauze soaked in a medicine that causes strong clotting, no idea what it's called, sorry. He had the tongue depressor apply pressure while my teeth held it firmly in place. He checked back a few minutes later and it stopped. No recauterize needed. But, I will need to be back on a liquid, or very soft, diet again. I saw him 2 days before this for my post-op and was still having some pain at night when I couldn't constantly drink water. He insisted I take ibuprofen with Tylenol even though I told him twice I was hesitant in case I bled, because ibuprofen is a blood thinner. He seemed regretful and admitted its likely contribution. I took my last ibuprofen at 5 p.m. the day before this happened. I woke up at 2:30 a.m. with the bloody incident, so it could have in fact been a combination of the last of my scabs coming off, doing the naughty, and residual ibuprofen. I didn't tell him about the naughty part, but I do intend to once this is all over. I hope that he will consider adding it to his things not to do list just in case it did in fact contribute. Hope someone else searching this next time finds the first post, has doubts, finds this post and gets it all clear. That moment when a today I fucked up ends up being better medical advice than everything else on the internet. You literally just saved me from making that same mistake. Thanks mate. And I guess thanks Reddit algorithm for checking in with my Google searches. But why would masturbating mean that you get a bloody mouth? Maybe it's just because I'm sleep deprived, but I'm confused. 'Cause the high blood pressure makes the wounds open up. Doctor here, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you guys know that though the clitoris is sometimes difficult to locate, it is in fact not located in the throat. That bean is your uvula, please do not flick it.